Hey, it's Mark Lanier with your video thought for the day. Well, in a world torn by injustice and corruption, a voice rises from the countryside, speaking truth to power and hope to the downtrodden. This is the story of Micah, an Old Testament prophet, and a book in the Bible that I'll give you a synopsis of in 4 short minutes. I want to give you a summary of the book, I want to give you a memorable verse, and I want to give you a practical application. Now, how do we summarize this book? Well, the book of Micah is a book that's aptly named, for Micah in Hebrew means who is like our God. And indeed, no one is. So this book of Micah weaves together a message of judgment and hope, and it calls people back to a heart of true worship and justice. Micah is a contemporary prophet of that large book prophet, Isaiah. He prophesied during the reigns of Jotham and Ahaz and Hezekiah of Judah. So put this in maybe 737 BCE to about 696. He addresses both the northern tribes of Israel and the southern tribes of Judah, and he condemns social injustice. He condemns corruption among leaders, and he condemns empty religious rituals. Micah foretold judgment on both kingdoms, and he also promised a future restoration in the coming of a messianic ruler from Bethlehem. The book alternates between oracles of doom and salvation, but ultimately it emphasizes God's faithfulness to his covenant despite his people's unfaithfulness. Now, I love Micah 6 verse 8, so let me give you that as a memorable verse. In that, the prophet asks this question. He says that God has shown you, O mortal, what is good. And what does the Lord require of you? To act justly, to love mercy, and to walk humbly with your God. That's life in a nutshell. To act justly is to treat people fairly, to not have favorites in the way you treat people or in the way you look out for people. To love mercy is to recognize that everyone in this world needs forgiveness and needs an act of mercy, and including ourselves. Jesus calls on his followers to forgive others as others should forgive you. And then he speaks of walking humbly with God, and humility is an absolute virtue. Pride, haughtiness, arrogance are to be avoided at all costs. Anybody who's proud and arrogant and haughty doesn't have a clear view of God, because if we have a clear view of God, we understand our place in things. So here's a practical application. Micah challenges us to examine the integrity of our faith. Are we merely going through religious motions, or are we truly living out God's requirements for justice and mercy and humility? This book encourages us to stand up against social injustice, to care for the vulnerable, to align our lives with God's character, because true worship isn't just about rituals. It's about how we treat others and how we walk with God in our daily lives. So from the rural hills of Morasheth to the corridors of power, Micah's message still resounds with timeless relevance, and it's why I've made it your video thought for today.